In the hustle and bustle of our daily lives, there is a presence, a voice, often soft, subtle, and easy to overlook. Yet, it is a call that is meant for each one of us. Have you ever experienced that moment when everything around you fades into the background and the chaos of the world seems distant? This is not just a fleeting thought, but a true invitation. The quiet call of the Dharma, a gentle whisper that beckons us to pause, to listen, and to reconnect with something deeper within. In our modern world, it is easy to get swept away by the noise and distractions that constantly surround us. We are bombarded by information, deadlines, expectations, and the demands of society. Yet, in the midst of this noise, there is a quiet, unspoken truth, a call to return to ourselves. This is the call to mindfulness, a call that encourages us to stop, breathe, and simply be. It asks us to listen to the stillness beneath the surface of our busy lives and to feel the truth that lies within. This call to awakening does not announce itself with grandiose gestures or dramatic pleas for attention. It is not loud or forceful. Instead, it is a whisper, a quiet invitation to rediscover who we truly are. It is the Dharma, the profound teachings that point us toward our true nature. It encourages us to explore the depths of our minds and hearts, not through force or striving, but through gentle awareness. Many of us have had moments, perhaps fleeting, when the world around us seems to fade away, and we are left with only the present moment. In those rare instances, we become acutely aware of the simplicity and beauty of life. It is as though time slows down, and we are able to see with clarity. Have you ever felt this? That moment when the noise of the world falls silent and the whispers of your heart become louder? This is the essence of mindfulness. It is the practice of being fully present with what is happening now. Not in the past, not in the future, but right here and right now. Mindfulness invites us to be fully engaged with our experiences, to truly feel the sensations of life without judgment or distraction. When we live mindfully, we come face to face with ourselves, with our thoughts, our emotions, our pain, and our joy. In Buddhism, we are reminded that suffering arises not only from external sources, but also from our own neglect of the present moment. We are constantly racing towards something in the future, some goal, some achievement, some perfect moment. And in doing so, we miss out on what is happening right now. In our pursuit of the next thing, we forget the richness of the present. And this in turn leads to a sense of dissatisfaction, unease, and yes, even suffering. But what if this tiredness we feel, this quiet exhaustion in our bones, is not simply a result of aging or overworking? What if it is a sign of something deeper, something more profound? Perhaps it is not the weariness of the body that we are feeling, but the weariness of the soul, the weariness that comes from drifting too far from the present moment, from forgetting to be truly alive right now. We become so focused on what's next that we lose touch with what is. We forget that life is not about achieving or becoming, but about being. And it is in the state of being that we find true peace. This quiet fatigue is not something to be feared or avoided. It is a signal, a reminder that we have strayed from the path. It is a call to return, to reconnect with the truth of who we are. It is an invitation to awaken, gently and without force, to the present moment. For it is in the present that we find our truest selves, our deepest peace, and the wisdom that comes from being fully aware. The call to awakening is not a sudden dramatic event. It is not something that happens overnight or with a single decision. It is a gradual process, a soft unfolding of awareness. Just as a flower blooms slowly, petal by petal, so too does our awakening. It is a return to the simplicity of life, a rediscovery of the profound truth that exists in every moment. When we answer this call, we begin to see the world through different eyes. We notice the small, beautiful details that we once overlooked. We appreciate the quiet moments, the spaces between our thoughts, the gentle rhythm of our breath. We become more attuned to the world around us and more aware of the interconnectedness of all beings. We begin to see that our thoughts, words, and actions are not isolated, but are part of a much larger whole. Mindfulness is the key that unlocks this door to awareness. Through mindfulness, we learn to be present without judgment, to observe our thoughts without attachment, and to experience the world with a deep sense of reverence. It is through mindfulness that we begin to notice the subtle shifts within ourselves, the moments of stillness that arise when we stop and listen. As we deepen our practice, we begin to see that the present moment is not something to be feared or resisted. It is not something to be fixed or changed. Instead, it is something to be embraced with all its beauty and imperfection. The present moment is where life happens, and it is where we can experience true peace. This peace is not something that we must search for outside of ourselves. It is already within us. It is in the quiet space between our thoughts, in the stillness of our hearts. When we stop, listen, and feel, we can touch this peace, and when we touch it, we begin to awaken to the truth of who we are. Awakening is not about becoming someone else. It is not about reaching a destination or attaining a goal. It is about returning to our true nature, the nature of the present moment, the nature of pure awareness. It is about embracing the simplicity of life and finding peace in the here and now. In Buddhism, we are taught that the path to awakening is not a forceful or aggressive one. It is a gentle journey, a process of letting go of attachment and distraction and opening ourselves to the present moment. This is why mindfulness is so essential. Through mindfulness, we learn to quiet the mind, to rest in the present, and to connect with the deeper truths that reside within us. In the midst of our fast-paced, often chaotic lives, it's easy to overlook the simple yet profound practice of simply being present. We are constantly bombarded with tasks, responsibilities, and endless distractions that pull us away from the present moment. We live in a world that constantly urges us to do more, achieve more, be more. But true peace, as taught by the Buddha, doesn't come from doing more. It comes from being more. It's a subtle yet powerful shift that we must embrace, especially in times when the noise of life feels deafening. Imagine for a moment a flower blooming in the early morning sun. It doesn't hurry, it doesn't strive to be anything other than what it is. Its beauty is not in its speed or in its effort, but in its stillness and its gentle unfolding. Just as the flower blooms naturally without force, we too are called to find a space of stillness within ourselves. It is in this quiet, undisturbed presence that true peace is found. But in our lives filled with constant motion and distractions, it is easy to forget the beauty of simply existing. As we grow older, many of us begin to experience a restlessness. We may feel a yearning deep within, a sense that something is missing, but we can't quite put our finger on it. It's as though we're reaching for something just beyond our grasp. The irony is, the very thing we're searching for may already be within us. It is the ability to rest in the present moment, to let go of the past and the future, and to simply bonheur. This is what Buddhists call mindfulness. It is not a complicated practice or a lofty goal. Mindfulness is simply the art of being fully engaged with what is happening right now, without distraction, without judgment, and without the need to constantly do something. In our modern world, where our lives are often dictated by schedules, deadlines, and endless to-do lists, it can feel almost impossible to slow down. We are conditioned to believe that our worth is tied to our productivity and accomplishments. But the Buddhist teachings remind us that true peace and healing come not from doing, but from being. It is about returning to our natural state of presence, where we can rest fully in the moment, letting go of the constant drive for more. To practice mindfulness is to let go of the constant need to fill every moment with action. It is to allow ourselves to simply be, to sit, breathe, and feel the fullness of the present moment. It is not about forcing ourselves to relax or trying to escape the stress of daily life. It is about becoming aware of the richness of the moment we are in without rushing to the next. Think of it as a form of inner relaxation, not in the traditional sense of resting from tasks, but in the sense of resting our mind from the constant pull of worries, anxieties, and the desire to be somewhere else. The Buddha teaches that suffering arises not just from physical pain, but from our attachment to the past and our anxieties about the future. The constant worry about what has been or what might be keeps us trapped in a cycle of dissatisfaction. But when we practice mindfulness, we break free from this cycle. We allow ourselves to experience each moment in its fullness, without the burden of past regrets or future fears. We embrace life as it is, not as we wish it to be. Take a moment to reflect on your own life. When was the last time you were truly present? When was the last time you sat quietly and simply listened to your breath, without any agenda, without any rush? For many of us, the answer is that it's been far too long. We fill our days with activities and plans, but how much of our time is truly spent in the here and now? How often do we allow ourselves the space to simply be without needing to accomplish anything? The practice of mindfulness is not about adding more to our already full plates. It is about creating space within ourselves, in the midst of the busyness, to connect with what is real and immediate. It is about finding a quiet place in our hearts where we can simply rest, just as the flower rests in the morning sun, not striving, not pushing, but simply being. It is in this space that we begin to heal, for it is only in the present moment that we can truly find peace. In our desire for progress and success, we often overlook the power of simply being. We seek happiness in achievements, in possessions, and in external validation. But as the Buddha teaches, happiness is not something that can be attained through external means. It is found within, in the deep stillness of the present moment. True peace is not something we have to chase or work for. It is always available to us as long as we are willing to pause, breathe, and be fully present. So, what would it feel like if we allowed ourselves to truly be present without worry or distraction? What would it feel like to let go of the constant striving, the endless seeking, and simply rest in the moment? It is a practice that requires patience, for we are so used to filling our lives with noise and activity. But in the silence of simply being, we can discover a peace that is more profound than any accomplishment or goal. Let us take a moment now to be mindful of our surroundings. Feel the ground beneath your feet, the air that fills your lungs, the rhythm of your breath. Let go of the distractions that pull your attention away from this very moment. Notice the sensations in your body, the thoughts that arise in your mind, and simply observe them without judgment. This is the beginning of mindfulness, of being fully present with whatever isn't, without the need to change anything or fix anything. As we continue on our journey through life, let us remember the power of presence. Let us remember that we are not human doings, but human beings. We are not defined by our accomplishments, our tasks, or our productivity. We are defined by our ability to simply be. When we embrace this truth, we open ourselves up to a deeper, more fulfilling way of living. A way of living that is grounded in the present, in the peace that can only be found when we let go of the need to do and simply allow ourselves to be. And so, as we close today, I invite you to reflect on this question. What would it be like to rest in the present moment, to be fully present with yourself, just as you are, right now, to let go of all the distractions, all the worries, and to simply be in this moment? This, my friends, is the path to peace, the gentle path of presence. It is the path that the Buddha invites us to walk. It is the path that leads us back to our true selves, where peace, healing, and true happiness reside. Let us take that step today and every day toward the simple, beautiful act of being. In the hustle and bustle of our daily lives, we often find ourselves trapped in an endless cycle of thoughts. This isn't just the fatigue that comes from working hard or running from task to task. It's the deeper kind of exhaustion, the mental weariness that stems from a mind overwhelmed by constant activity. We live in an age where every second is filled with noise, whether it's the buzz of social media, the pressure of work, or the demands of family and friends. And while we may take moments to rest our bodies, our minds never seem to get the same reprieve. They are constantly running, constantly churning over past mistakes, worrying about the future, planning, analyzing it, and never fully relaxing. The Buddha, in his wisdom, recognized this struggle long ago. He taught that suffering doesn't just come from physical pain, but also from the restless nature of the mind that cannot find peace, the mind that is ever distracted, the mind that can never fully be still, is the source of much of our suffering. We often forget that true peace doesn't come from the absence of external noise, but from the stillness within. The Buddhist teachings point us toward a radical idea. True peace is found when the mind is calm, clear, and present, unburdened by the weight of unnecessary thoughts. So what does it mean to embrace stillness? It's not about doing nothing. It's not about retreating from life. On the contrary, it's about fully engaging with life in a way that allows us to be present in each moment, without the constant tug of thoughts pulling us in 1,000 different directions. Stillness is a state of being, not doing. It's about finding a space within where we can simply exist without the need to fill every moment with action or thought. In Buddhism, this practice of embracing stillness is central. Through meditation, we are taught to quiet the mind, to let go of the constant noise, and to create a space where peace can settle in. Meditation, however, isn't just about sitting quietly. It's about learning to be with our thoughts, not letting them control us, but observing them without attachment. Think of your thoughts as clouds passing through the sky. The clouds don't control the sky, they just pass through. Our thoughts are like these clouds, constantly moving, constantly shifting. But if we can observe them without getting caught up in them, we can find the space between the clouds, the stillness that lies beneath. In the practice of mindfulness, we are encouraged to pay attention to the present moment, to really notice what's happening right now, not getting lost in thoughts of the past or worries about the future. This focus on the present moment is the key to finding the peace that we so desperately seek. So often we fill our days with noise, both external and internal, because we are afraid of what we might find in the quiet. We are afraid of confronting ourselves, of sitting with our feelings and thoughts without distraction. But it's in this stillness that we can truly heal. It's in this quiet space that we find clarity and understanding. So let's take a moment today to check in with ourselves. Are we allowing our minds to rest? Are we giving ourselves the space to be still? Or are we constantly filling every second with noise? The Buddhist teachings remind us that the stillness we seek is already within us. It's not something we need to find outside of ourselves, but something we can return to by simply letting go of the constant striving, the constant doing, the constant needing to be somewhere else. When we embrace stillness, we allow our minds to reset. We allow them to regain clarity and calm. We give ourselves the chance to experience true peace, not as something that comes from external circumstances, but as something that arises from within. This stillness doesn't mean that we stop living. It doesn't mean that we become passive or indifferent to the world around us. In fact, when we embrace stillness, we become more alive, more aware, more present to the richness of each moment. We can engage with life from a place of peace, rather than reacting to life from a place of stress or anxiety. When our minds are calm and clear, we can approach our work, our relationships, and our challenges with a sense of purpose and focus that isn't clouded by unnecessary worries or distractions. The practice of mindfulness is not about achieving a state of perfection. It's not about shutting off all our thoughts or becoming completely still at all times. Rather, it's about making space for stillness in our lives, even amidst the chaos. It's about learning to return to the present moment whenever we get lost in thought, to notice when our minds are spinning out of control, and to gently guide ourselves back to a place of calm and focus. The more we practice this, the more natural it becomes to return to this place of stillness, no matter what is happening around us. In embracing the stillness of the mind, we are also embracing a deeper connection to ourselves. We are learning to listen to the wisdom that resides within us, to trust our own inner voice, and to find peace in the quiet. This is the path of mindfulness and meditation, a path that leads us to greater peace, clarity, and understanding. When we embrace stillness, we open ourselves to a deeper level of awareness, one that is not bound by the noise of the world, but one that is grounded in the present moment. This is where true healing begins. So today, let us reflect on the state of our minds. Are we allowing ourselves to rest in stillness? Or are we caught in the whirlwind of thoughts? Can we find a moment of peace amidst the noise, and in doing so reconnect with our true selves? The stillness we seek is already within us. It is waiting for us to return. And when we do, we will find that we are more whole, more at peace, and more fully alive than we ever imagined. In the stillness of our lives, there is a truth that often goes unnoticed. Our bodies, these vessels that carry us through the world, are temples. Yet how often do we truly care for them? How often do we listen to their whispers, their cries, their gentle requests for rest, nourishment, and care? Instead, we tend to push them too hard, ignoring the warning signs of fatigue, hunger, or stress. We fill them with substances that do not truly nourish, and we overlook their needs in the rush of our daily lives. Buddhism teaches us that true self-care is not an act of selfishness, but a powerful expression of compassion, both for ourselves and for the world around us. In the same way we offer loving kindness to others, we must extend the same kindness and care to ourselves. If we are to serve others, we must first tend to the sacred vessel that carries us through life. Just as we would care for a beloved friend, so too should we care for our bodies. They are not separate from our spiritual journey, but an integral part of it. True nourishment goes beyond food. It encompasses every aspect of how we care for ourselves. How often do we take a moment to pause and listen to our bodies? How many times have we ignored the simple need for water or the subtle invitation to rest? When was the last time we moved our bodies with care, without pushing them to the limit, honoring their rhythm and pace? When we truly nourish ourselves, it is not just about feeding the body, but about nurturing it with gentleness and mindfulness. The Buddha often spoke of the middle path, a path of balance, and yet in our modern world, it is easy to slip into extremes. We either neglect our bodies entirely, or we push them relentlessly in the pursuit of achievement. But the Buddhist teachings invite us to find the balance. Our bodies, like our minds, require attention, care, and respect. They are not separate from us, but an essential part of our being. They are our connection to the world, to the earth, to the present moment. Have you ever stopped to truly listen to your body? Have you ever given it the care and compassion it needs, just as you would care for a beloved friend or family member? Are we drinking enough water, moving our bodies with mindfulness, resting when we need to rest? These questions, though simple, are at the heart of nourishing our bodies with compassion. In Buddhism, we are reminded that mindfulness is not just about our thoughts or emotions. It extends to every aspect of our being, including the body. By practicing mindfulness, we can learn to honor our bodies, to recognize when they need rest, when they need food, when they need love. Through this practice, we learn to care for ourselves in a way that is deeply nurturing and healing. We begin to realize that self-compassion is not a luxury, but a necessity. It is an essential part of our spiritual practice, for without a healthy body, how can we fully engage with the world and with others? But how often do we dismiss these needs, believing that self-care is indulgent or unnecessary? How often do we neglect our bodies because we are too focused on external achievements or the needs of others? It is easy to become caught in the cycle of overwork, overstimulation, and neglect, and yet the Buddha calls us to awaken from this trance. We are invited to slow down, to pause, and to listen deeply to what our bodies are telling us. When we heed this call, we begin to live in harmony with ourselves, in alignment with the deeper truths of our being. Let us reflect on our relationship with our bodies today. How are we treating them? Are we nourishing them with the same love and compassion we extend to others? When we make self-care a priority, we not only care for our physical health, but we also cultivate a sense of peace and balance within ourselves. We create a foundation of well-being that allows us to be present, to engage fully in the world, and to live in harmony with the teachings of the Buddha. The practice of mindfulness, when applied to our bodies, becomes a form of sacred care. It is a reminder that we are worthy of love and respect, not just from others, but from ourselves. By offering this love to ourselves, we cultivate a deep sense of gratitude and reverence for the body, the mind, and the spirit. And in doing so, we honor the Buddha's teachings of interconnectedness and compassion. For when we care for ourselves, we are better able to care for others and to bring light and love into the world. So today I invite you to take a moment and reflect. How are you treating your body? Are you listening to its needs with mindfulness and compassion? Are you offering it the nourishment it requires, not just in food, but in movement, rest, and love? The path to true self-care begins with awareness. When we learn to care for our bodies with the same love and compassion that we would offer to others, we are not only nurturing ourselves, but we are also walking the path of the Buddha, embracing the sacredness of all life. As you go through your day, Take time to pause and check in with your body. How does it feel? What does it need? Let this awareness be the foundation of your self-care practice. When you treat your body with kindness and respect, you honor the wisdom of the Buddha and align yourself with the greater flow of life. This is the way of mindfulness, the way of compassion, and the way of true self-care. In the world we live in, we often feel overwhelmed, burdened by the pressures of life, caught in the rush of daily tasks, responsibilities, and expectations. And amidst all of this, something profound happens. We forget the simple yet essential element of joy. This isn't just a fleeting moment of happiness after a job well done, nor is it the kind of joy that comes from external sources or material achievements. True joy, as taught in Buddhism, is an intrinsic part of our spiritual journey, woven into the fabric of our practice, not something we experience only when everything else falls into place. Joy, in the Buddhist tradition, is not a distant or rare feeling. It is something we can access at any time. This is where the concept of mudita comes in. Sympathetic joy. Mudita is the practice of rejoicing in the happinesses and success of others, but it also applies to our own lives. It teaches us to cultivate joy as a natural and essential part of our existence, not as a reward that follows after hardship, but as something that is deeply embedded in the present moment. The Buddha understood joy as a vital force. It connects us to the present, to one another, and to the world around us. And yet, in our modern lives, it is so easy to lose sight of this truth. We get caught in the illusion that joy is something that must be earned, something that can only be felt once we reach some external goal or milestone. This belief often leads us to chase joy, running after it as if it were a distant, elusive prize that will come only when everything else is perfect. But in truth, joy is already here, within us, waiting to be rediscovered. In our daily lives, we often mistake joy for a fleeting moment of celebration or a reaction to something exciting or extraordinary. However, the true joy that the Buddha speaks of is not tied to external circumstances. It is not something that comes and goes based on the whims of fate. Joy is a constant companion, a soft, radiant presence that is available to us in every moment, if only we learn to look for it. Joy is the connection to the present moment, the ability to appreciate the world around us, even in the simplest of things. Consider for a moment the miracle of a sunrise, the gentle rustle of leaves in the breeze, the sound of children laughing, or the comforting rhythm of your breath as you sit in stillness. These are the everyday miracles that surround us, and yet we often overlook them, caught in the relentless pursuit of bigger and better things. When we learn to appreciate these simple moments, we open ourselves up to the boundless joy that exists in the here and now. This joy is not conditional. It is not dependent on what we do or what we have. It is simply there waiting for us to notice it. The Buddha teaches us that joy is not something to be earned or achieved, but something to be cultivated. Just as we tend to a garden, nurturing it with care and patience, we can cultivate joy in our hearts. It is a practice, a conscious choice to connect with the present moment and appreciate the beauty that is already there. Joy in its purest form is an act of mindfulness. It is not about striving for something more or looking for happiness in the future, but about seeing the beauty in the now. Through the practice of mindfulness, we begin to awaken to the presence of joy. Each breath becomes an opportunity to reconnect with the vitality that is always within us. When we are truly present, we can feel joy in the simplest of things. The warmth of the sun on our skin, the taste of a delicious meal, the comfort of being with loved ones, or even the stillness of solitude. These moments, though seemingly small, are the true sources of joy. They are always available to us, if only we learn to slow down and pay attention. In Buddhism, joy is also seen as a force of connection. It binds us to others, to the world, and to ourselves. When we rejoice in the happiness of others, we not only lift them up, but we also elevate ourselves. This mutual sharing of joy creates a positive cycle, one that nourishes our hearts and spirits. It reminds us that we are all part of something greater, that our happiness is not separate from the happiness of others. When we celebrate the successes and joys of those around us, we tap into a collective energy that magnifies the joy within us. This is why mudita is such an important practice in Buddhism. It is not just about rejoicing in the happiness of others, but also about recognizing the joy within ourselves and embracing it fully. It teaches us that joy is not something that belongs to a select few. It is something that is available to everyone in every moment. When we can see the beauty in our own lives and the lives of others, we open ourselves up to a deeper sense of peace, contentment, and vitality. Yet, despite all of this, it is easy to forget the power of joy in the hustle and bustle of daily life. We get caught up in the noise of the world, constantly striving, working, and worrying. We forget to take the time to simply be. But in Buddhism, we are reminded that joy is not something to be chased. It is not something that comes after we have accomplished everything else. Joy is a part of the path itself. It is a light that illuminates the way, guiding us through the darkness and the struggles, showing us that even in difficult times, there is something to be grateful for, something to smile about. Reconnecting with joy, then, is a revolutionary act. It is a choice to step away from the constant demands of the world and to return to the present moment. It is a decision to let go of the belief that joy is something that must be earned or achieved and instead embrace it as a natural and vital part of our existence. When we reconnect with joy, we reconnect with vitality. We tap into the energy that makes us feel truly alive, that gives us the strength to face whatever challenges come our way. So today, let us make space for joy in our lives. Let us stop waiting for the perfect moment, the right circumstances, or the next achievement. Let us invite joy into our hearts now in this very moment, whether it is through laughter, creativity, a simple act of kindness, or a quiet moment of appreciation. Let joy be the light that guides us forward. Let it be the spark that reignites our passion, the fuel that keeps us moving, and the energy that helps us embrace life with open arms. In the practice of mindfulness, we come to realize that joy is not something outside of us, but something that arises from within. It is the natural expression of our connection to the present moment, the result of our awareness of the beauty and wonder that already surrounds us. Joy is the pulse of life, the rhythm that keeps us in tune with the world. It is not something to be caught, but something to be nurtured. And when we allow ourselves to reconnect with joy, we experience a vitality that nourishes our body, mind, and spirit. So let joy be your guide today. Let it lead you into the present moment where all is well and all is possible. Reawaken to the vitality that is already within you and let it fill your heart with peace and light. The journey to joy begins right now, and it is a journey that will transform your life in ways you cannot yet imagine.